White Lotus isn't just about luxury resorts and spoiled vacationers. It's about the masks people wear when they think no one's watching. Behind the ocean views and spa treatments are secrets, scandals, and the slow unraveling of the ultra-wealthy. And in a show so obsessed with status, every tiny detail matters, right down to the watches on their wrists. It's no secret that nearly everyone in the White Lotus is a terrible human being, emotionally bankrupt, morally questionable, and flaunting their wealth like it's a personality trait. But while they can be gaudy and excessive in more ways than one, every now and then someone manages to flex a genuinely impressive timepiece. So we have to give credit where credit is due. Kicking things off, we'll start with one of my favorite characters from Season 3, Rick Hatchet. Rick doesn't say much, and when he does, it's vague. And as far as a job, it's left incredibly ambiguous. This and that. And that's about all we get. But based on the effortless way he moves through 5-star resorts, and the even more effortless way he pays for them, one thing is abundantly clear. Whatever this and that is, it pays well. In Season 3, Rick rotates between two very different watches, a move that tells us more than he ever does. One is sleek, refined, and old school, the kind of piece that blends in but quietly screams wealth. The other is unexpected, affordable, functional, and a little bit rugged. His go-to, and the watch he seems to be wearing most of the time, is a Timex Q GMT with a black and green bezel. It's a nod to vintage travel watches from the 70s, complete with a rotating 24-hour bezel, white triangle GMT hand, and a quartz movement that keeps ticking no matter what time zone you wake up in. When Rick wants to elevate things, he swaps the Timex for Rolex Datejust reference 116139, a model that blends classic design with understated luxury. It features a 36mm white gold case, a fluted white gold bezel, and a crisp white dial with Roman numerals. The watch is paired with a black leather strap and runs on Rolex's caliber 3135 automatic movement. No diamonds, no showboating, just a refined, discontinued reference that quietly signals wealth to those who know what they're looking at. The Rolex will run you around $13,000 to $15,000, and the Timex is a steal at just $200. So what does this and that buy you in the watch world? Apparently, one of the most tasteful low and high rotations we've seen on TV in a while. Saxon Ratliff. If I told you that Rick and Saxon, polar opposites, had anything in common at all, then you probably wouldn't believe me. But there is something, and that's a shared tendency to rotate between a couple of watches. But where Rick's choices are subtle and self-assured, Saxon's scream for attention. He's high-strung, image-conscious, and desperate to look like he's got it all under control. And his wristwear reflects that perfectly. The first watch that caught my eye was this Hublot Big Bang Unico Black Magic, a 42mm beast of a watch in satin-finished black ceramic with an open-work dial, exposed screws, and a thick rubber strap. It's flashy, oversized, and brutally modern. Hublot's polarizing design language is all over this thing, and that's kind of the point. Retail? Around $22,000. More if you bought it from a boutique without blinking. Anyone properly into watches knows that Hublot, while undeniably expensive, aren't exactly known for value. It's less about craftsmanship and more about the flex. A statement piece first, a timepiece second. Then there's the Rolex Milgauss reference 116400 GV, a very different kind of statement, and one that feels quite strange for Saxon. With its green-tinted sapphire crystal, electric blue dial, and orange lightning bolt seconds hand, it's Rolex's weirdest and most rebellious modern model. Originally designed for scientists working around magnetic fields, it's now become a niche favorite for collectors who want something classic with a twist. Price-wise, the Milgauss sits around $10,000 to $12,000 on the secondary market, especially since Rolex quietly discontinued it in 2023. Saxon's two-watch rotation feels like a personality split. The Hublot is loud, muscular, and designed to impress strangers, while the Milgauss is quirky, niche, and just eccentric enough to suggest he thinks he's interesting. One screams, "Look at me," the other whispers, "I'm not like other finance guys." But together, they tell the same story. A man who's trying a little too hard to stand out, and maybe doesn't realize how transparent that effort actually is. Sritala. As far as watches on this season of White Lotus, and any of the seasons for that matter, Sritala is entirely in a league of her own. A woman dripping in wealth, she doesn't need to talk about money. She is money, and her watch, it's not there to tell time. It's there to tell you exactly who you're dealing with. Early in the season premiere, Sritala is spotted wearing the Jacob & Co. Fleur de Jardin, and if you had any doubt she was unimaginably wealthy, this should clear things up fast. Crafted from rose gold and absolutely encrusted with diamonds and gemstones, it's less a watch and more a jewel-encrusted statement of dominance. Inside is an ultra-complicated hand-wound movement with a flying tourbillon and a rotating flower motif that looks like something out of a fairy tale, assuming the fairy tale involves private islands and Swiss bank accounts. Retailing for around $360,000, the Fleur de Jardin is pure extravagance, the kind of piece you wear when you've long since stopped checking price tags. It's not about practicality, and it's certainly not subtle. It's there to let the White Lotus's well-heeled patrons know they're in safe and similarly minted hands. Timothy and Victoria Ratliff. Nothing says over the top quite like his and hers maxed out Rolex presidentials. Victoria and Timothy Ratliff didn't come to White Lotus for the relaxation. They came for their daughter, and they'd rather be anywhere else. Draped in old southern money and a deep sense of superiority, they float through the resort with fixed smiles and whispered judgments. And to their watches, identical Rolex day-dates, the modern, flashier evolution of Tony Soprano's classic flex, but turned up to 11. Victoria's is the classic champagne dial, a nod to old money, tradition, and understated superiority. Timothy's, on the other hand, is a stark black dial, colder, harsher, and maybe a little more telling for a man whose wealth feels a bit more dubious. And the fact that Victoria wears the same size as Tim, not an accident. If anyone's running this family behind the scenes, it's her. The Rolex Day-Date 40, reference 228238, is the ultimate power watch. A full 18-karat yellow gold case and bracelet, fluted bezel, and the signature day and date display at 12 and 3 o'clock. It's bold, weighty, and very deliberate. The kind of timepiece you wear when you want the world to know you're successful, unapologetically wealthy, and not interested in subtlety. Inside, the watch runs on Rolex's caliber 3255, a technically advanced movement with impressive accuracy and a 70-hour power reserve. Each of these pieces retails for around $40,000, depending on dial and bracelet configuration. But on the secondary market, certain variations can climb much higher, sometimes reaching $80,000 to $90,000, especially for rarer or more desirable setups. Laurie. Among the girl trippers, Laurie is the only one who still seems mentally tethered to the real world, and more specifically, to her job. She's sharp, stressed, and clearly has people to manage and emails to ignore. She's a white-collar professional through and through, and her watch reflects that. Elegant, traditional, and just indulgent enough. On her wrist is the Cartier Baignoire Mini, a sleek oval-shaped timepiece that's minimalist in size but rich in heritage. With its curved 18-karat yellow gold case, silver dial, and Roman numerals, this watch is pure Parisian refinement. And at just 24mm long by 18mm wide, it's subtle but unmistakably Cartier. Despite its small footprint, the Baignoire Mini still makes a quiet statement, one of taste, restraint, and timeless design. And while Laurie's version is pared back, the model itself has been spotted in far flashier configurations, most notably on Timothée Chalamet at the 2025 Oscars, who wore a diamond-studded version on a red carpet that was anything but understated. The watch retails for around $13,000, depending on configuration, but like most things Cartier, it's less about price and more about polish. On Laurie, it's the perfect match. Compact, classic, and just sharp enough to remind you she probably earns more than you do. Honourable mentions go out to Jacqueline's Hermes Nantucket, Lachlan's Mission to Saturn Moonswatch, and Valentine's Vostok Amphibian. And that's it for today's video. Which of these watches did you spot? And which were your favourites? Let me know down in the comment section below. Thanks again for checking out the watch list.